Folks, today we want to talk about what makes an ideal or a model organization. Now, I'm a veteran, as you all know. Now, I've never met anyone who doesn't want to help a veteran. I haven't met one person yet. Well, it's nice to hear, thank you for your service. It is nice to hear. But what veterans really want, what they really need is be part of an organization that will help them identify and utilize their skills to make a sustainable living. That's what they need. Now, my friend Dave Weaver, he's embraced this challenge of creating an economic environment for veterans, veteran-owned businesses to thrive. Let's go meet Dave. Dave Weaver served in both the Air Force and the Army. Upon his retirement, he started a very successful financial services company. And then in his spare time, he created the Houston Region Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Now, Dave is a contributing author to my upcoming book, Business Secrets from the Battlefield to the Boardroom, and this book will be available for pre-order on a pre-order special March 29th. And this is a book that is written by veterans, their stories, veterans, spouses, parents, and supporters. It's their stories in their words. And I have to tell you that if it hadn't been for this chamber, the Houston Veteran Chamber of Commerce, this book wouldn't be possible. So I owe them a great debt of gratitude. So Dave, welcome to Life Altering Events.
Hey, well, thank you, Frank. Honored to be here.
Dave, when we spoke, and we've spoken many times now, you said to me at a very early age, you had this attraction to aviation, particularly military aircraft. Where'd that come from?
Frank, that came from my father, which is also in the Army. He was Army Corps medic, but really it came from Dad. And I actually was sitting on a phone book that I could barely see over the dash console of the instrument panel. And I would he would, tell me how to keep the wings level or make a turn, but flying with Dad kind of helped me kind of do that in, going to air shows and things like that. So that's kind of where the love for aviation came from. And then obviously, going to the different air shows and seeing the different military airframes, I was enthralled with military aviation.
Outstanding. Now you finished college, you enlisted in the Air Force. The goal was, I'm going to be an Air Force pilot. What happened?
Well, that is a long story. I don't think we have enough time for that, but no, I had an alternate pilot slot out of Air Force ROTC before, as I was commissioning. The timing wasn't right during that time, so the alternate pilot slot didn't pan out. So I became a RC-135 and C-130 navigator. So I went to nav school instead. Went to several different deployments with the RC-135s. Just my timing was all off to becoming a military pilot with the Air Force. As I transitioned to the C-130s, again, timing wasn't in my favor, but I still continued the mission and still continuing to serve. Got my commercial pilot's license on the outside, both all the way through my commercial, flew a little bit of corporate and, a few other things. But then, the timing wasn't right. And then I became just too old for the Air Force to go to pilot training.
Cool. So for those who don't know, what does a navigator do? What's the role of the navigator?
Well, I could go funny or I could go serious. But no, it really is, the navigator really tells the pilot and also keeps the aircraft on course, on timing. There's obviously in military operations, especially with the cockpit. So the navigator really handles the air getting from one place to the other, also doing a lot of the mission planning, keeping the aircraft on track, on time, hitting the tankers, hitting the airports or the different points on station, or even putting an aircraft in the best collection position possible for others to be able to collect data.
So you keep everything on track, basically. The navigator keeps it going where it's supposed to go when it's supposed to be there.
Correct. So you don't want to get, it's your job not to get lost.
You don't get lost. That's good. So you mentioned as time is passing in the Air Force, and it doesn't appear the pilot thing is going to happen. But if you know Dave Weaver, that's not going to stop him. What happened next?
What happened next is I was introduced to some helicopters by another gentleman that was in the Army as well, and he kind of said, well, why don't you think about Army aviation with flying helicopters? So I didn't flinch really twice, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what their age time is. And so by that time I was going to apply about 31, and their cutoff was now 34, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just hit the pavement running, because time's not in my favor. So I got everything transitioned over, found a unit that would actually pick me up. And so I went to pilot. They picked me up pretty quickly just because I was a rated commission officer already, a senior captain, military experience, also deployment experience, as well as having my commercial pilot's license on the outside. It's fairly likely that I'm going to pass the pilot training fairly decently without having, I'm not a wild card in sense, because I've got all the background. So the Army unit picked me up and they sent me to pilot training, and they made me an Apache longbow driver.
On the Apache, that's impressive. What was the internal battle between the Air Force and the Army? I don't think the Air Force is going to be too crazy about letting a trained, certified, you were a captain at that point, correct, leave and lose all that knowledge and experience.
Well, it was a little bit of an uphill battle, but I did finally get my Air Force commander to release me through a couple different channels. And I just had to make sure that my time with the Air Force was transferred over to the Army National Guard. Which was fine. I just going 2 years of pilot training took care of that. But then, signing on with the Guard unit that I flew with, then I was able to do a bunch of other things there. And so it was an internal battle, but it was worth the fight. Worth the fight, obviously. Now, you said you wrote in your chapter, you wrote that you were going to be promoted in the Air Force, and when you went into the Army, you're going to go into lower rank. So you're getting your dream, lower rank, less pay. What was that like? It was a different transition for me, from a senior captain, but I was then I came over as a captain to the Army, and then my wings were more important to me than my rank, but also I reverted to a warrant officer, or a warrant 1, to go to pilot training. I had to literally put a lot of internalize my experience, but take my rank and put it on the shelf, and also take my ego. With anybody has an ego, so literally put that on a shelf. But that also humbled me too, and it also allowed doors to open, because it wasn't about the rank, it wasn't about anything else but pilot training. So it allowed me to concentrate specifically on the mission at hand, my mission at hand, and that's to pass pilot training at the end of the day. But I also didn't have to become class commander, so I didn't have that added responsibility. I didn't have to do a few other things. I just had to literally close my mouth and drive on, and not have to speak. But I got to lead from behind too, and there's a lot of leadership skills from that piece, is to be able to lead from behind, allow the leader to shine, make them look good, but then be able to pour into them and say, hey, here's some things from what I did, my past experience. And that's part of the leadership is, if you can lead from behind without having to take the glory, even better. And you're watching somebody else succeed. So there's a satisfaction out of that, to be able to do that.
There absolutely is. And as was well known in the military, it's the persons who make it happen are usually not the guy with the title.
You are not wrong on that one. Yes.
Usually
There's a lot of people that, support that person to make things happen.
Absolutely. So you retired from the military, started a financial business in Houston. And then you said to me, something's missing. What did you see that others didn't see? What was missing?
What was missing? So in missing was the fact that as I was starting to do 401ks and things like that for small businesses, I'm like, I would like to connect with other veteran-owned businesses just for the camaraderie, as well as being able to say, okay, how can I, learn from what they have already done in business to apply to my own practice. And so I started got on the hunt, and it was super difficult. It still is today to find veteran-owned businesses, to bring them out of the woodwork. And there's a couple of different uphill battles on that, but man, it was just very hard. I could name maybe 6 or 7 on my hand, but then I started finding that gap, and saying, okay, where are some databases of veteran-owned businesses? Is it the Texas Comptroller's Office? Is it the some of the city databases? Is it some of the veterans organizations? But nobody was really measuring, and it's still hard today to measure it at this time in March of 2023. But we're going to change that. We're changing that really quickly, and building awareness around the veteran business economy, so that the veteran businesses can grow and then scale, both to the general public, but then also to the corporations or procurement officers that want to source from a veteran-owned business. They love doing business with veterans, and they're not asking the right questions. We just got to help them ask the right questions.
Absolutely. Now, I understand you're going through this, and everybody's nodding their head like they always do. But the big aha moment was when a report came out that listed Houston as the 12th best environment for veterans. Now, you would think that's pretty good. You didn't think that was the case. Tell us about that.
No, there is a report that comes out every year that's been measured about the last 5 years. And as that report, Houston was going backwards. So it was 7, 9, 11, 12. And I'm like, well, this is definitely not going to happen. Houston is the second largest veteran population in the country, only second to LA. And I think that may be changing here quickly as more and more people come to Texas, as Texas is the #1 state for veteran resources, as well as most friendly state in the union as Texas Republic. But man, I tell you what, it is. So yeah, when I heard that we were going from 11 to 12, yeah, I got pretty livid because now I'm in the game, and I'm like, okay, why is that so? Especially when I'm talking to some of these other key leaders here in the Houston area. SBA is telling me that there's 65,000 veteran-owned businesses here, and how are we with almost 7.2 million people in Houston? How are we number 12 in veteran entrepreneur support /entrepreneur/owner support? How do we do that? How do we go to #1, or how do we move the needle? So literally, we came on scene. We invited the group down. We talked. We've had now 4 iterations of what we call a community leaders roundtable that has a stake in the veteran business economy, and we get them to participate in this roundtable to help us identify gaps, because I don't know it all, and I will never know it all. However, if we lean and put the right people around the right table with the right discussion points, staying on topic, we can uncover gaps faster, because we're leaning on that organization's expertise and bringing it to light. And that roundtable has literally helped us move from now Houston being number 12 to now number 5. So we have literally moved the needle. I cannot claim all the credit. However, we can claim a lot of the credit because the identification of a couple of things that we've already started in the Houston region that's really nowhere else as a community. and we're gonna literally take Houston and put it to being number one for veteran entrepreneur and owner support.
The support, folks, that Dave and the leadership brings together is amazing. He has the city, he's got the county, he's got the federal officials, he's got corporations, he's got, you haven't even been in existence for 2 years, Dave. How do you pull this off in less than 2 years?
I can't, well, it's one for the team. The team has been the people that have been able to, that have jumped on this lack of a better word, bus or an airplane with me to drive this mission has been absolutely outstanding. And when I started asking the right questions, they, not only my light bulb continued to start flickering brighter, but their light bulbs started going on and going, you know, why are we not counting the veteran business owners? Why are we not asking these questions? And so really it has been an outpouring of support in that direction. And we operate from our, how do I say it? It is, well, it's also being relentless at the point. So I am out there every day, you know, in front of, you know, either other chambers of commerce, or other organizations, or tied into a couple of different groups, and I'm constantly asking questions so that way it becomes top of mind. It doesn't take Dave to do the asking. Now they are starting to ask on their own, and literally putting in the right foundations of, okay, what does it take to make it very easy for the general public and for the procurement officers to find veteran-owned businesses? And that's what we're solving. And as we've, like you said at the very beginning, everybody wants to support veterans. And yes, veteran, you know, thanks for your services, great. However, how are you doing that? And if you can say, would you support a veteran-owned business? Yes. Okay, great. Where do you find them? Don't know yet. Okay, well, here's a couple tools. Would you use these? And they are starting to really ramp up to use them in very significant ways. And I love these tools that we've produced for, and we continue to see if we can add more type of environment for that to happen, for the veteran business economy to be noticed, but also helping the veterans side to get their veteran designation, to say that they're a veteran-owned, utilize veteran-owned on their card if they're not certified. You've earned the right to say veteran-owned. Put it on your card, put it on your marketing, put it on your website. Now, if you want to go a step further, you get your veterans designation. Here in Texas, Texas Veterans Commission has a veteran certified designation that you can utilize if you're a veteran-owned business, but then you go through the SBA and get your certified veteran-owned business or service-disabled veteran-owned business certifications. Not only the people love seeing that, but the corporations love seeing that, because they know that you are a vetted organization, not just veteran-owned, that you're self-certifying, great. However, we need to go through another step so we can count it for our ESG model or minority spend. You got to have the veteran designation.
Exactly. I'm going to tell you how impressive this is, folks. According to nonprofit.com, more than 45,000 nonprofits serve veterans and veteran families, and they are registered with the IRS. 45,000. Now, they're in every state, and they're good people with good intentions. But good intentions don't make for a successful formula. What they're doing in Houston is a successful formula. And if you don't know, Dave, and you don't know this organization, you're making a big mistake. You need to contact them and see how they're doing, what they're doing, and follow this. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already been invented. So what's next, Dave? What are you going to do next with this thing?
Well, what's next with the Houston Regional Veterans Chamber is continue adding the tools, right? And continuing to grow. And that's grow, from a financial standpoint. Every organization needs resources, but also from our membership database, as we grow past 230 already in less than 2 years. So that's it's continuing to be on that same trajectory. This year, I think we'll double in size. Is what we're looking at, but they don't have to be a member. We're not here but it's investing in that mission to grow, to scale, to be able to do more, to add the tools. So beyond what we've already created, the veteran business directory here, that's for the membership, but then we also created a veteran and business interactive map that's on our website. And that map, you can zoom in anywhere in the country that's identified a veteran-owned business. And literally, we put them all over the map. If we can find them, if we've identified them as a veteran-owned business, and we've talked to them, or it says it someplace, they're getting put on our map. They can submit their stuff, and so literally, we're literally putting them on the map. And now it's making it very easy for a person that goes to Katy, Texas, zoom in on that map and say, "Oh, there's a veteran-owned coffee shop. Let's stop." Or, "Hey, I'm in Houston. What veteran-owned restaurants are available?" Or, "Hey, I need signs, or I need stickers, or whatever." You can find a veteran-owned business to support your economy. So it's helping It's not just helping the membership. It's helping the veteran economy as a whole. Then we also launched this year, was a veteran master event calendar region-wide. And so literally every VSO, veteran service organization or member that has a veteran event or an entrepreneur event, they can put it on the calendar. So now this calendar becomes bigger, more of a resource. Doesn't have to be a member to submit a calendar or event. If it's supporting the veteran community, from galas to parties to, networking to whatever it is, putting it on that calendar. And so the next for us is to go after a economic development grant for the veteran business community. Also put in several other SAMs or MOUs. We've already got one with the SBA. We're working on one with SBDC. We've got other organizations that are aligning. We've got some other big things that are probably going to launch in the fall. I just can't not mention it right now because we're going through a process, but this is absolutely a game changer for Houston, but also the veterans, because what this is going to accomplish is sheer amazing. At the end of this year, we want to do a economic report annually that we want to measure the impact of the veteran business economy. Like how much is spent with veterans? How much is corporate spending with veterans? How much is spending with veteran-owned businesses? Are they growing? How many veteran-owned businesses have we identified that is on our map, not on our map? And then what is the economic impact or GDP effect on our region? And we defined our region as Killeen, Texas, to Louisiana border down to Corpus Christi. So really, it's the southeast part of Texas.
Now, there's other things that are coming in. And Dave's being modest here. You can say, "Hey, these are veteran-owned businesses. Isn't this wonderful?" But then how do you help that veteran-owned business grow, scale, and understand what the next steps are going to be? And you have programs to do that, correct?
Correct. So we do have a program that's a Veterans Business Growth Academy, and that's led by our members. And that one is more of a growth mindset in how to set yourself up to think like an owner. So that's in a nutshell. That's not working in your business. That's working on your business. And it takes a mind shift. There's also a difference between being an entrepreneur versus an owner. An entrepreneur likes all the chaos in the beginning, and then really they want to they have an exit strategy to sell in 3 years or sell in 5 or sell in 10. The business owner is, I'm here. I want a legacy. I want to be something I want to be able to turn over to my kids, or I want to turn over to my family, or I want to be able to, franchise it. Now I'm an owner because I'm not, I'm still an entrepreneur, but an owner has more longevity mindset, where an entrepreneur is more of an exit, get in and get out, maybe start another one. So you have these serial entrepreneurs. They're still business owners, yes, but they're not, they've got their strategy is different.
Exactly.
That's one. This cohort that I'm talking about that's going to launch in the fall is a sheer game changer. And that's for corporate capacity building of veteran-owned businesses. And that's going from 1 million in revenue to now 3 million, or 3 million to 10, or 10 to 20, or 20 to 100, whatever that, there's no cap, right?
Exactly.
So, and so sharing those success stories, but building their capacity for a couple of different industries that are here in Houston that we are literally going to help. So that way, and at the end of this cohort, these corporations that are backing this, and the organization itself will already have ready opportunities for those veteran-owned businesses that go through this cohort to actually do business at the end of it, because they want to build the capacity. Well, and it's two-sided, right? The corporations want to do this because they need more veteran-owned businesses inside of their model of minority spend. And why not spend it with a veteran? Because if you spend it with a veteran, you're going to hit every demographic possible.
Exactly.
We are the largest fraternity. We are the largest demographic possible that they can tap into. And if they don't have to worry about any other demographics. You're hiring a veteran.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So Dave, how do people reach you?
They can reach us in a couple different ways. One is our website, www.houveteranschamber.org. You can follow us on Facebook at Houston Veterans Chamber, Houston Regional Veterans Chamber, also LinkedIn, same thing. Do a Google search. We're on Google My Business. There is a veterans designation on Google. So if you identify as a veteran owned, you can actually put it on Google. You can reach us on Twitter as well, but then you can also send an email to vetbiz, that's VETBIZ, at HOUveteranschamber.org. Or you can call our phone number, that is 832-582-4488.
I was at their expo, Veterans Expo in September in Houston, and I was in awe of how many organizations were coming through. There were a bunch of veterans who had booths, but the impressive part was there were people from the city, there were people from the corporate sector, there were people from oil and gas that were there, and they took the time to come to see what was going on. That's the impact this organization has had in less than 2 years. Think about that, less than 2 years. It's incredible, just amazing.
And if I can, I'll say this, is the expo last year highlighted 103 veteran-owned businesses. We had about maybe 700. So it was a lot of people for our first time. And, we got a lot of good support out of that. And the expo actually came out of the roundtables that we did, the gap of identifying veteran-owned businesses, but also creating awareness around it. So this year we've launched it, and now it's at the largest convention center here in Houston, which is the George R. Brown, and we will be highlighting about 250 exhibitors this year at the George R. Brown, and expecting early registration it starts on the 15th of March, but man, it is moving in that direction. And the team that is actually putting on the expo, because it's not me, it's the team, the expo planning team that's actually executing this wonderfully. The people, again, the city's coming around it, the other organizations are coming around it, because we're asking the right questions. We're not trying to do it alone. We're not trying to recreate the wheel. We're just pulling everything together as a hub, and to move the mission, because we are better together. And our motto for the chamber is one team, one mission. And that is how we're growing. We are one team, a group of veterans, as well as passionate patriots, coming together and executing on growing the veteran business economy, making awareness to public and the corporations.
It's an amazing organization, folks. Make sure you take the time and find them. Find them.
You can find the expo at the Houston Veterans Business Expo.com. This year, it'll be September 22nd and 23rd of 2023.
Be there, folks. Now, Dave, we're just about out of time. I want to thank you again for the story. You're just never giving up on your dream to be a pilot, never giving up on creating this thriving veteran economy and a model for other organizations to follow. So if you have an organization and you want to get off the ground running, contact Dave, contact this group. They will help you. You can be one of their affiliates. Smart way to go, folks. Very smart way to go. To see more of Dave's story and several other veterans, military parents, children supporters, it'll all be in the book, Business Secrets from the Battlefield of the Boardroom. It'll be available on a pre-order on March 29th. Mark your calendar, March 29th. You can see this show on ROKU TV, or you can see it on my YouTube channel, which is named Frank Zaccari. We just keep things easy. I will send a link to Dave, and he will put it out there to all the places that he posts into his world. Now, let me leave you with this, folks. None of us are in this alone. And the secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are. And today, Dave showed us where many of those rocks are. Join us again next week. We look at another life-altering event. Thank you again, Dave.
Thank you again for the opportunity, Frank. Thank you for the opportunity for the book and being a great author and helping us actually put it out there actually in the written word. So I appreciate that, Frank. And thank you for your service.
My pleasure, my friend. Take care.
Take care, my friend.